Allegations after investigations by Truthwatchdog and Obidan around the passing of Brian Chira have started unfolding into what would look like a horror movie. Personally, I would really have been so shocked if the grandmother of Brian had kept quiet and not bothered to ask how her grandson passed on. But eventually, through the help of Obidan, she came out yesterday in TikTok Live and spoke her own truth regarding the happenings around the money that the TikTok community raised and how she was treated by Baba Talisha and his alleged wife Wanjiku. She categorically stated that Baba Talisha had contributed over 200,000 shillings but had requested her that he wanted his money back. The question here is, why would Baba T do such a thing? Request the money he had contributed to be refunded? Isn't this really evil? That allegedly and clearly pretended to care about the family and passing of Brian Chira has always baffled me. I have always, and allegedly for this matter, wondered why Baba T was interested so much in Brian Chira's funeral. Yet when Brian was alive, he had blocked him and was not in talking terms with him. Really, this already feels Aish. Something is not adding up, and the math is not really mathing. Brian Chira's grandmother is also alleging that she was not given Chira's phone, and that initially the phone was with Baba Talisha, who allegedly later claimed that the phone got lost. The question here is, why would anyone want to take Brian Chira's phone? Why wouldn't they allegedly give Brian's grandmother Brian's phone? What are they really hiding in this phone? What don't they want the world to know about Chira? The truth is that that phone could contain some evidence. For example, who got in touch with Chira that night? Was Chira involved in any deals that could have put his life at risk? How much money was in his phone? Maybe with the help of Safaricom, some of these questions could be answered. But holding onto Chira's phone in the investigation world is really suspicious, especially given the mysterious and controversial passing of Brian Chira. Then comes to the horror of money that the public all over the world contributed to Brian Chira. Chira's grandmother alleges that Baba Talisha and his alleged wife Wanjiku took away her phone for 3 good weeks. So she had no control over her phone. The question here is, why did Baba Talisha do such a thing? She even alleges that people couldn't get in touch with her while she was mourning this. Allegations really broke my heart, and my heart skipped while my intestines dropped. The fact that she couldn't receive messages of condolences directly must have been a difficult thing. Someone would have to be too broken to do such a thing to such an old grandma at such a difficult time. Someone assumed that Brian Chira's life was not important because he used to drink, or I have no idea what was really running in their minds. Anyways, she alleges that when she finally got her phone back, it only had 5,000 Kenya shillings. What now followed was she would allegedly be taken to frequent bank visits for withdrawals of money which was said to be paying bills for the funeral. She would later realize after the funeral that there was no single bill that was paid and that she needed to pay the money herself. The concern here is King Rosso contributed money for funeral expenses. First, was that money real? Did he really contribute it? Where did the money go? If that money was used, by who and for what expenses? Allegedly, Baba Talisha would tell Grandma that he was spending his own money to make her feel indebted. The Grandma would respond, "God will bless you and you will never lack." But she alleged Baba Talisha later requested his money back for the expenses. This is what is called classic high-end manipulation, and if the allegations are anything to go by, it should be condemned. And Kenyans who are contributing money in TikTok for charity should ask themselves the questions. How are the people they support their charity foundations and activities spending the money they give them? How do they treat those that they support? If need be, some people need to do a deep dive to real people who are being supported using their money. Any dubious charities should be boycotted immediately. Further, Brian Chira's grandmother alleged that she was bought a house and land of 3.5 million Kenya shillings, and Baba Talisha brought people who were requesting 5 million shillings to renovate it. If this allegation is true, the question is, why would Baba Talisha do such a thing? After the funeral, why did he not leave the family alone to buy land by themselves, build or buy the house they may have wanted to? How can a house be more expensive to renovate than to buy? Clearly the maths here have lost their way. Doesn't it sound like he was interested in taking all the money from this family? The 8 million Kenyans contributed to build a house? What interest at heart did really Baba Talisha have? 5 million Kenya shillings for renovation? Really? Brian Chira's grandmother alleges being bullied and frustrated by Baba Talisha and his alleged wife Wanjiku, telling her that he had the power to take back all the money and return it where it came from, the public. So strange, right? Again, assuming they could do that, do you think they would return the money to public, really? She also alleged that Baba Talisha did not want her to be visited by Obidan. Obidan was following up the case of Chira with Adsia before his passing. Brian Chira's grandmother alleges that she wanted Obidan to support in getting Chira cleared from Kibera court and get another of his phone that the police was holding onto for the case, for Chira to rest in peace. Clearly, she was trying to do the right thing here and do what millions of mothers and grandmothers would have done if their children passed on and before passing were in similar circumstances as Brian Chira. The question here is, why was Baba Talisha allegedly against Obidan visiting Brian Chira's grandmother? Was he trying to hide anything or control who visits Brian Chira's grandmother? Did he now own Brian Chira's grandmother because Kenyans decided to contribute money through him for Chira's funeral and house? Why would he do such a thing? Finally, Brian Chira gave anyone who would help her uncover the truth surrounding the passing of her grandson the permission to help with uncovering the truth. She said that even if it was just an accident, she did deserve to know who did it and why. This is the right thing to do, and her statement completely silenced anyone who may have alleged that the family was not interested in knowing how Chira passed. So many people, evil people for that matter, felt that Brian Chira's life was worthless, that because he drank, had HIV and was allegedly gay, he deserved to pass, and investigations were not needed to know how he lost his life. That is really and totally evil. One would have to be too broken to even entertain the thought, leave alone the imagination. Every one of us deserves to be treated like humans. Even if elders cleansed their land after Brian Chira's passing on ground of him being gay, there are people out there who are doing worse, and no one condemns them. The question here is, why haven't the elders cleansed the land of corruption, which is claiming lives through mismanaged resources, some of which could prevent loss of life due to floods? Why is interest just around sexual orientation? God is the judge, and they have no such responsibility. The attempts to silence the questions around Brian Chira's mysterious passing won't go away anytime soon. Brian has refused to rest in injustice, and the grandmother is requesting for speedy help so that his soul could rest. One thing everyone needs to know is that Brian Chira was an orphan, and that means in his own imperfections as we humans perceived it, his own mother and father was still God, and he will bring people to fight for his justice. In response to all these allegations, Baba Talisha came out to say he will never do charity again. But if these allegations are true, why would any sane Kenyan believe he deserved money to do any charity? Wake up, Kenyans, Kumakucha. Open your eyes and see the truth. Enough of the commonship.